We live in a culture that treats the laboratory as the only source of truth. If a belief cannot be measured, tested, and published, it is often dismissed as unreal. This creates a specific kind of pressure when we try to find a foundation for our deepest existential questions. Many people try to resolve this pressure by using quantum physics to validate their spirituality. They point to quantum entanglement, the way particles link across distances, and claim it proves the universe functions as a single, conscious, universal mind. Albert Einstein rejected this connection. He called entanglement spooky action at a distance because it didn't fit into a local, predictable model of physics. For Einstein, if it wasn't rigorously provable through local variables, it couldn't be accepted as a physical fact. However, Erwin Schrödinger developed the foundational equations that proved this spooky math was real. He showed that particles can remain linked regardless of the distance between them. This creates the quantum consciousness trap. When you attempt to apply the strict rules of experimental physics to matters of existential meaning, the logic breaks both systems. Physics loses its rigor, and meaning loses its depth. The conflict we are seeing is a collision of epistemic frameworks. An epistemic framework is the specific set of rules we use to decide what counts as evidence. The tension between science and religion is a disagreement over which rulebook is being used to judge the truth. When you demand strict empirical proof, you gain universal consensus. Gravity works the exact same way for everyone. But that rulebook is silent on questions of purpose, value, or why you should bother getting out of bed in the morning. If you adopt a religious or analogical framework, you gain a way to interpret life's suffering and find personal direction. The trade-off is that you lose the ability to objectively prove your beliefs to a skeptic who demands a different kind of data. Forcing one framework to do the job of the other results in an existence defined by facts, yet devoid of any actionable life meaning. Identifying which of the three main frameworks of truth you are operating in is the only way to move past the confusion. The first evaluative framework is strict empiricism. It requires univocal, universally verifiable data. A fact only exists if it can be observed and measured identically by any person anywhere in the world. In our matrix, strict empiricism requires universal data like the Bell state equations. This produces a verified physical model, allowing us to understand mechanics and build computers. The fatal flaw? It fails to measure subjective experience. It tracks brainwaves, but not consciousness itself. Strict empiricism proves that quantum particles link across distances, but it provides no evidence for a non-local conscious mind. The second framework is religious essentialism, which uses a standard of analogy. This means some beliefs, like trusting your memory or that other people have minds, are foundational starting points requiring no external scientific proof. Accepting a religious experience as properly basic provides a coherent, meaningful way to interpret life's suffering and define a clear purpose. In the second column of our matrix, the requirement is a basic belief. The evidence is lived experience, and the outcome is hermeneutical meaning, a system for interpreting the significance lacks empirical proof. It is an unreasonable starting point. This results in the fatal flaw of the middle column, a skeptical standoff. You cannot force a skeptic to accept your lived experience as their universal data. Theological standards successfully protect human meaning, but they sacrifice the ability to win an empirical debate with a skeptic. Our third evaluative framework is epistemological pragmatism. Pragmatists see truth as a set of constraints that help us navigate the world. Instead of asking if a belief is an absolute universal essence, they ask if the belief is functionally useful. In column 3, the requirement is behavioral utility. Evidence is lived constraints. Does it solve problems? The outcome is dual-use integration, science for mechanics, religion for morals. The cost is losing absolute certainty. Existential beliefs become functional tools, not verified facts. Pragmatism resolves the deadlock by asking what works rather than what is universally proven. This provides a highly functional worldview. The breakdown between science and religion happens when we cross-contaminate these frameworks. We try to use the rules of one to validate the conclusions of the other. This decision tree maps out when to use each standard. It begins with one question: what are you trying to evaluate? For physical reality and mechanics, you follow the left branch to strict empiricism. This leads to reliable technology. Choosing this path means accepting that your science will remain silent on matters regarding your soul. For meaning, ethics, and existence, follow the right branch to pragmatism or analogical belief. This produces an actionable framework. Attempting to use quantum mechanics to validate spirituality results in immediate logical collapse, because physics data cannot bear the weight of existential meaning. True intellectual honesty is not exactly the same as proving everything you believe to the rest of the world. Thinkers like Thomas Aquinas and St. John of the Cross built their systems on the analogy of being. They specifically argued that because the Creator is infinite and the physical world is limited, there is an infinite distance between the two. They understood that the physical world could provide signs of God, but never an empirical proof. You can stop feeling pressured to use quantum mechanics to validate your personal spirituality. The goal is to identify which standard of evidence applies to the specific dilemma in front of you. Selecting the correct truth framework provides the fundamental tool required to construct a meaningful and functional life.